Diplomacy, the profession, activity, or skill of managing international relations. The government is actively pursuing diplomacy to resolve the conflict with its neighbors. Touted, attempted to sell or promote something, typically by pestering people. The president touted his recent efforts to find a peaceful diplomatic solution. Blared, made a wide as of a trumpet or a loud horn. Sirens blared throughout the city after several power lines were damaged. Shrapnel, fragments of a bomb, shell, or other object thrown out by an explosion. Several buildings were damaged when shrapnel hit the local power infrastructure. Maneuvering, moving skillfully or carefully. The military is currently maneuvering into the border territory to establish defense lines. Kibbutz, a communal settlement in Israel. A well-known spokesman from the kibbutz was unfortunately killed during the shelling. Artillery, large-caliber guns used in warfare on land. The farmer was accidentally hit by friendly artillery fire during the night. Reservists, members of a military reserve force. Thousands of reservists were called up to create a barrier against the enemy. Sentiment, a view of or attitude toward a situation or event, an opinion. The speaker's sentiment regarding the peace talks is widely shared by the public. Reiterated, said something again or a number of times, typically for emphasis. The official reiterated their willingness to host future negotiations in the capital. Venue, the place where something happens, especially an organized event. The government is looking for a suitable venue for the upcoming diplomatic talks. Parliament, the highest legislature of a country. The Speaker of the Parliament is considered a key negotiator in the current crisis. Passover, a major Jewish holiday. The country is preparing for a long conflict even during the Passover holiday. Precipitated, caused an event or situation, typically one that is bad, to happen suddenly. The sudden engine failure precipitated the need for emergency assistance on the runway. Awry, away from the appropriate, planned, or expected course. Safety protocols are essential in case something goes awry during the flight. Sidestep, to avoid dealing with or discussing something. Critics accuse the agency of trying to sidestep its responsibility for the accident. Understaffed, having too few staff to operate effectively. Air traffic control centers are currently understaffed, which impacts overall safety. Quantify, to express or measure the quantity of. It is often difficult to quantify exactly how fatigue affects the performance of pilots. Transponder, a device for receiving a radio signal and automatically transmitting a different signal. The fire truck involved in the crash was not equipped with a working transponder. Redundancy, the inclusion of extra components which are not strictly necessary, but in case of failure. Having multiple safety layers provides the redundancy needed in high-risk environments. Apparatus, the complex structure of a particular organization or system. Emergency apparatus must be regularly inspected to ensure they function at airports. Rote, mechanical or habitual repetition routine. Stopping all arrivals should have been done as a matter of rote procedure. Legislative, having the power to make laws. The committee is currently reviewing the new legislative text regarding border security. Deporting, expelling a foreigner from a country. The agency is responsible for arresting and deporting individuals who lack proper documentation. Non-committal, not displaying a definite opinion or course of action. The president remained non-committal when asked about the future of the trade deal. Ballot, a process of voting in writing and typically in secret. The citizen cast a mail-in ballot despite concerns about the security of the method. Overhaul, a thorough examination of a system, with repairs or changes made if necessary. The new act aims to overhaul the current election system to prevent fraud. Alleges, claims that someone has done something illegal or wrong. The legal suit alleges that the department failed to cooperate with the investigation. Crackdown, a series of severe measures to stop undesirable or illegal behavior. The government initiated a major crackdown on illegal immigration late last year. Wrongful, not fair, just, or legal. The international community celebrated the release of the man from wrongful detention. Detention, the action of detaining someone or the state of being detained in official custody. Hostage diplomacy often involves the detention of foreign nationals for political leverage. Allegations, claims that someone has done something wrong, typically without proof. The authorities have rejected all allegations of engaging in illegal surveillance. Verdict: a decision on a disputed issue in a civil or criminal case. The families are still waiting for a final verdict in the child safety trial. Credentialing: the process of establishing the qualifications of licensed professionals. The department issued a new policy for credentialing media members at the Pentagon. Compel: to force or oblige someone to do something. The newspaper filed a motion to compel the government to release the documents. Credentials: a qualification, achievement, or aspect of a person's background. For decades, reporters used their press credentials to enter and leave the building. Amendment: a minor change or addition designed to improve a text or piece of legislation. Lawyers argued that the new policy was a clear violation of the First Amendment. Ferret: to search tenaciously for and find something. Independent journalists often try to ferret out information from confidential sources. Vague: of uncertain, indefinite, or unclear character or meaning. Critics argued that the standards for denying credentials were far too vague. Unbridled, uncontrolled, unconstrained. The court found that the law gave officials unbridled discretion to pick reporters. Discretion: the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. The supervisor has the discretion to approve or deny any vacation requests. Abide: to accept or act in accordance with a rule, decision, or recommendation. All news organizations are expected to abide by the judge's final order. Objectionable: arousing distaste or opposition, unpleasant. The defense found the latest guidance to be highly objectionable and illegal. Abiding: lasting a long time, enduring. The lawyer emphasized the importance of abiding by constitutional principles. Defying: openly resist or refuse to obey. By refusing to change the policy, the department is effectively defying the court. Brazenly: in a bold and shameless way. The official brazenly ignored the warnings from the legal committee. Reinstates: to restore someone or something to their former position or condition. The revised policy effectively reinstates the same old standards using different words. Presumptively: in a way that can be presumed or taken for granted. Promised anonymity to a source is presumptively seen as evidence of misconduct. Anonymity: the condition of being anonymous. Many sources will only share sensitive information if they are guaranteed anonymity. Confidentiality: the state of being kept secret or private. Maintaining the confidentiality of records is a primary responsibility of the agency. Solicit: to ask for or try to obtain something from someone. Reporters were told they could not solicit non-public information from officials. Criminalizes: to turn an activity into a criminal offense. Critics worry that the new law effectively criminalizes the practice of journalism. Implicates: to show someone to be involved in a crime. The report implicates several top officials in the recent corruption scandal. Vacate: to cancel or annul a judgment or order. The legal team asked the court to vacate the unconstitutional provisions. Injunction: an authoritative warning or order. The judge granted a preliminary injunction to halt the demolition of the murals. Robustly: in a strong, healthy, or vigorous way. The newspaper continues to robustly report on government activities despite the rules. Immense: extremely large or great, especially in scale or degree. The public benefits of having independent journalists in the building are immense. Referendum: a general vote by the electorate on a single political question. The fight over the new architecture has become a referendum on the president's power. Architecture: the complex or carefully designed structure of something. The ongoing battle over the city's architecture shows deep political divisions. Bulldozer: a powerful tractor with a broad upright blade at the front. A bulldozer was seen pushing debris onto the man-made mountain at the site. Demolition: the action or process of demolishing a building or other structure. Residents gathered to witness the extraordinary demolition of the old office building. Renowned, known, or talked about by many people, famous. The historic building was renowned for its beautiful murals from the New Deal era. Murals, paintings, or other works of art executed directly on a wall. Preservationists are fighting to save the murals before the building is destroyed. Preservationists, people who advocate for the preservation of historical sites. Many preservationists were involved in evaluating the impact of the new construction. Advisory, having the power to make recommendations but not to enforce them. The president typically defers to the panels of experts who act in an advisory role. Deferred, put off an action or event to a later time, yielded. Historically, the presidency has deferred to experts when selecting building styles. Aggrieved, feeling resentment at having been unfairly treated. The leader seems to feel aggrieved by the influence of the city's elite class. Populist, a person who strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel ignored. The leader's populist instincts often drive him to challenge the status quo. Irrational, not logical or reasonable. Some argue that the desire to change the national capital is not entirely irrational. Archetypal, very typical of a certain kind of person or thing. Every major capital city has some form of an arch, as it is an archetypal form. Monumental, great in importance, extent, or size. The proposed monumental arch would be significantly taller than existing landmarks. Dwarfing, causing something to seem small or insignificant in comparison. The height of the new tower will be dwarfing all the other buildings in the area. Fait accompli, a thing that has already happened or been decided. Critics fear the plan will become a fait accompli before they can stop it. Advocacy, public support for or recommendation of a particular cause. The nonprofit advocacy group filed a lawsuit to protect the veterans' interests. Interred, placed in a grave or tomb, buried. The thought of being interred in the shadow of the arch upset many veterans. Vainglorious, excessively proud of oneself or one's achievements. Opponents described the monument as a vainglorious project meant for personal vanity. Vanity, excessive pride in or admiration of one's own appearance or achievements. Critics argued that the massive arch was nothing more than a personal vanity project. Unilaterally, used to indicate that something is done by only one person or group. The president cannot unilaterally decide to build a monument without approval. Daguerreotype, an early photographic process. The book examines the history of presidential images from daguerreotype to digital. Asserting, stating a fact or belief confidently and forcefully. By building the arch, the leader is asserting his symbolic power over the city. Downturns, declines in economic, business, or other activity. Many experts predict significant downturns in consumer sentiment due to the war. Stagflationary, characterized by stagnant economic growth and high inflation. Rising oil prices could lead the global economy into a stagflationary recession. Recession, a period of temporary economic decline. The country is struggling to avoid a deep recession as energy costs surge. Fracking, the process of injecting liquid at high pressure into rocks to extract oil or gas. Higher oil prices often lead to increased investment in fracking activities. Spillover, an unexpected consequence or secondary effect. The crisis in the energy sector had a negative spillover effect on manufacturing. Overdevelopment, excessive development of land for housing or industry. Rapid overdevelopment is one of the main reasons the city is sinking so fast. Seawall, a wall or embankment erected to prevent the sea from encroaching on land. The government built a massive seawall to protect the city from rising tides. Megacity, a very large city, typically one with a population of over 10 million. Jakarta is a massive megacity that faces severe environmental challenges. Slashed, reduced greatly in amount. Economic activity was slashed in half during the most severe flooding events. Inundated, overwhelmed with things or people, flooded. Large parts of the city could be inundated by water within the next few decades. Uninhabitable, not fit to live in. Some areas of the coast will become uninhabitable if sea levels continue to rise. Archipelago, a group of islands. Indonesia is a vast archipelago consisting of thousands of different islands. Paddies, fields where rice is grown. Local farmers rely on the seasonal rains to flood their rice paddies. Prominent, important, famous. A prominent environmental group showed us the long-term impact of the flooding. Depleted, use up the supply or resources of. Decades of groundwater extraction have depleted the natural water sources. Glittering, shining with a shimmering or sparkling light. The glittering high-rises in the business district add weight to the sinking land. Mangrove, a tree or shrub that grows in chiefly tropical coastal swamps. Much of the original mangrove forest was cleared to make room for new buildings. Ecologically, in a way that relates to the relation of organisms to one another. The area is no longer ecologically functional due to heavy urban construction. Tidal, relating to or affected by tides. Tidal flooding has become a regular occurrence for residents living near the coast. Embankment, a wall or bank of earth or stone built to prevent a river flooding. After the stone embankment was completed, the neighborhood saw fewer floods. Futuristic, having or involving very modern technology or design. The new administrative center was pitched as a green and futuristic city. Severest, most intense, exciting, or stimulating. The city's ability to adapt will be put to its severest test in the coming years. Bilateral, involving two parties, especially two countries. The leaders held a bilateral meeting to discuss mutual security and trade.